Hey everyone, thank you for joining Zweig Group Media and the Zweig Letter exclusive interview series. With almost 25 years of continuous coverage of the design industry, the Zweig Letter is a constant in an ever-changing marketplace. We are bringing you some of the best and brightest minds that our industry has to offer. Today I am pleased to welcome back for a second time Will Schnier, who is the CEO of Big Red Dog in Austin, Texas. Will, thank you so much for joining us again, and we really appreciate you coming out.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, no, this is great. This is our second go at this. For those in the audience, we had some glitches in the matrix last week, and so we had to reschedule and shuffle some things around. And Will was kind enough to find time in his schedule to meet with us again. So, Will, I really thank you again for doing that. We want to chat a little bit today, and we'll do something a little different. And when we first had you on, it was more of an introduction of who Will Schnier was and who Big Red Dog was. This time, though, we really kind of want to talk about the brand Big Red Dog, and we also want to talk about just some of the things that you guys are using that brand for in terms of getting the word out from a business perspective as well as from a talent acquisition perspective, which for a lot of your peers in the design industry, everybody's worried about finding good talent. And, I think our audience would be really curious to find out how you've been able to leverage the Big Dog brand, especially when it comes to trying to attract new talent. So would love for you to talk about that. But let's start first with just the Big Red Dog name, and I'll let you talk about that a little bit.
Thank you, Randy. Well, the name Big Red Dog is actually the nickname of one of our team members. His first name's Clifford, so it is the nickname you think it is without using the proper name there.
Right.
We tell Cliff he's the only named partner in the firm. When we started, we didn't want to name ourselves after the founding engineers. It would have been three guys' last names, which is, eventually turns into the acronym soup that
Right.
most of our competitors end up at, if not pretty soon after their founding, certainly after their transition to the next generation of leadership.
Yeah.
So knowing we didn't want to name ourselves after the founders, we thought it was wonderful to name ourselves after one of our team members who's really on a design team member who's now ascended into a much more prominent role as a team leader in one of our offices. But, the design staff are typically the first ones in the door in the morning and the last ones to leave at the end of the day, and get very little recognition along the way, whether it's internal recognition or external recognition from clients and city review staff and folks like that.
Okay.
And so we turned that model on its upside down, on its head from day one. Not only did we recognize Cliff and, through him, the rest of the design staff, but the company namesake is really attributed to him instead of the founding engineers and their last name. So it's really been a blessing for us to call ourselves Big Red Dog. It's certainly been memorable. You can, meet me or meet one of our senior leadership team members anywhere at a conference, and you'll forget their name in a matter of minutes or as soon as they turn their back, but you'll never forget the name Big Red Dog.
Right.
And that's been absolutely wonderful for us.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think nowadays, especially, Will, you're fairly young as a CEO of a growing design firm. In the back of your mind, before you guys even came up with that name, were you saying to yourself, "I just want to do something different, or I want to set myself apart from a lot of the legacy firms that are out there"?
Absolutely. Our whole management team is very young in the big scope of things. Most of us have 30 plus years left of doing this before we reach Social Security age, if such a thing exists when we get there.
Right.
But we started our firm May 1, 2009 was the first day we were in business. And
Okay.
some of the first clients that hired us were hiring us not to build anything, but to give their permits back to the city or to the county so they could get their fiscal surety refunded and keep their own lights on. You know,
Okay.
they were paying us $3,000 or $5,000 to void their permits so they could go get their money back that they had posted as bond surety with the city, so they could pay their own bills. So we were really at the bottom of the market there in May of 2009, and really throughout the summer and fall of 2009, it was nothing to write home about.
Okay.
And we knew we had to do something different to stand out, and combine that with the fact that we had very little to lose, that if this big red dog thing didn't work out, we could all go take jobs as someone's project manager or senior project manager as soon as the market came back.
Right.
We talked about it last time, Randy. Starting a company for me was cheaper because the price was essentially zero than playing golf 3 days a week,
right.
Which would quickly run into the couple $100 range.
Yeah, exactly.
So for a guy who didn't have a choice, and three guys who didn't have a choice, really, starting a company was the most affordable option for us.
Okay. All right. Well, and as I'm hearing you and what you're sharing about, just kind of the genesis of how it all started, how has that led you to try to attract people like yourself to come join the company? What have you guys done differently to set yourselves apart for the talent that's out there right now?
Well, putting the name itself aside for a moment, because we could talk about the brand Big Red Dog as a name, but what we've transformed the name into has really been very powerful. The Big Red Dog logo appears on the skyline and on the streetscape of the city of Austin.
Okay.
It's very ubiquitous, but also it's all over the place in San Antonio. When you drive down the hot areas in San Antonio, when you pick up the San Antonio Business Journal, when you read bearwitness.com in San Antonio, all you see and all you hear is Big Red Dog. And we've translated the same thing into the city of Houston and into the cities in the Dallas Metroplex area. Our logo is becoming synonymous with development projects and real estate development in every market we're in. I'll give you an example. This is a true story. About 2 years ago, a developer was in town. He was here from New York, and he was looking for land acquisitions in the Austin market. And so his broker, who I know very well, and that's how I was relayed this story, was driving him around, showing him all the projects and the corridors in town where all the activity was happening. And he saw our sign early on in their van tour in the morning and made a comment to his broker, Big Red Dog, who is that? Who names their company Big Red Dog?
Right.
And 6 hours later into his tour, he hadn't said anything else. And 6 hours later, he says to the broker, on Monday, I need you to set up a meeting with me with those Big Red Dog guys. They're everywhere. I need to know what they're doing and what they know about the market, because they're going to be my engineer.
Right.
And he's turned out to be done almost $2 million in fees with us in the last 2 years.
Are you serious?
Simply from seeing our brand everywhere.
Wow.
That he was interested in. So it's turned out beautiful for both sides. He's a happy client, and we're a happy engineer on his behalf, doing very cool stuff in the city and actually doing stuff in multiple cities with him now.
Right. Well, that's exciting. So it's almost like, you captured lightning in a bottle.
There's some truth to that. Yeah. We hit the market at the right time. We started at the bottom when everyone was coming back to be developers again, and found ourselves in a very unique and specialized niche doing urban infill development. And it's been wonderful.
Oh, that's good. That's awesome. So tell me just a little bit about some of your team members there, and maybe one or two interesting stories about how people have come to find you guys and decide that they want to work with Big Red Dog. And it's not that we're trying to make this video a infomercial for joining Big Red Dog. Sometimes videos have those unintended consequences, right? And that's not a bad thing. But the bottom line is, why Big Red Dog? I mean, why are people, and I say people specifically, really good design talent making their way to your front doorstep?
Well, it starts with our client list. People want to work on the coolest projects and with the best clients they can. And we've been incredibly blessed and very fortunate to have that roster of clients and be able to serve those clients well along the way.
Okay.
I'll give you two stories. You asked for two, so I'll stop there. But everyone has a story about how they joined the team.
Right.
We had a young man graduated from U.S. Military Academy at West Point.
Okay.
Had served 2 tours in Afghanistan. Very sharp kid. I say kid. He was probably 28, 29 years old. About 2011 or 2012, he walks into our office and says, I'm home between tours. I've got an engineering degree from West Point. I've seen your guy's name all over the place. I'd love to, be an intern for you, and I'll even work for free. I'll be an unpaid intern for the 3 months that I'm home between tours in Iraq, or Afghanistan, rather. And, we said, well, we'll at least give you a wage. You can't work for free, but, your initiative and your willingness to come in here and broach that topic is unusual among engineers. Mm-hmm. So we gave him an internship. It was a summer internship. I'll never forget it. I thought, this guy doesn't know anything. I'll have him hang the picture. We had all the art sitting on the floor that we wanted to hang on the walls. And no one had the time or the inclination to do anything about that art that was sitting on the floor. And so I said, Bailey, why don't you start by hanging up all these pictures on the floor and getting them mounted on the walls and in the conference room. And he looked at me like, this is what an engineering internship is about? He ended up doing that very well. And since then, he's done everything we've asked him to very well.
Wow.
He went back to Afghanistan, finished his final tour, honorable discharge from the Army, and came in as a full-time employee in early 2013. He is now second in command in the civil engineering practice in our Austin office. He has gone from $12 an hour intern to a principal in the firm and started buying in as a shareholder this year in 2016, and has become a tremendous success story for us as a company, for him as an individual, and for our clients that work with him. He's a leader among our staff, and he's really a leader in the industry. And his name has become very well known around the city of Austin as a result of his hard work. So that's the first story about somebody that has joined our team. And then I'll give a second story. One of our team members, we do a lot of college visits. We talk to college kids a lot. Engineering classes, engineering societies, about what we look for when we're hiring young engineers. And again, this was an intern, but we spoke at the University of Houston, which has really become a tremendous source of engineering talent here in Texas. Mm-hmm. Not everyone can come from the University of Texas or Texas A&M.
Right.
But University of Houston, and even in San Antonio, University of Texas at San Antonio, have been wonderful hotbeds of talent for us. But Patrick was the name of the gentleman from the University of Houston. We spoke to his class, or his organization, rather. He was the president of the National Society of Black Engineers, NSBE, and he had about 150 kids in an auditorium at the University of Houston. We went in there for a 20-minute presentation, and ended up speaking for about 2 hours. And at the conclusion of it, we had two or three dozen of these wonderful engineers, beating a path to our door, looking for a career opportunity. We brought Patrick back, and we brought Prince, one of his classmates, in as well, and they're in our mechanical, electrical, and plumbing practice.
That's awesome.
And so Patrick's now on his second internship, and he's going to enter the Marine Corps, an officer role in the Marine Corps, and just incredibly proud of that young man, and look forward to him coming back full-time into the firm. And I've no doubt that in due process, he will be a true leader within our company, and not just in the NSBE or in the Marine Corps. So those are two wonderful success stories that start at the ground up, and one's already at a principal, and the other one will be if he decides that this is for him.
Wow, that's great. It sounds like, and I guess you've kind of covered a couple of different areas. It sounds like that the young man that's coming out of the military, you're kind of satisfying a need that I'm hearing a lot more now of firms looking to try to hire veterans and others to work in their organizations. We're also talking to firms about diversity issues and inclusion when it comes to engineering and architectural. And there's a greater involvement with STEM programs in minority schools and minority colleges and universities, where you're able to actually recruit these individuals to come work at your firm. And so it's exciting that you're involved with NSBE and that you were actually able to find somebody from there that you have now been able to bring on to the firm. So that's exciting, and I certainly applaud you for that. And I know it's not easy in every market, because some markets are a bit more of a challenge than others to find good people, but we know those are some of the issues that do come up quite a bit. And as the industry changes as a whole, I think we need to be ever mindful of what it's going to take to grow a viable organization. And it sounds like you guys have a strong leg up in that area.
We don't have a single hiring profile that we go after. Obviously, to be an engineer, you have to have an engineering degree. But,
right.
Guys coming out of the military, guys and gals, guys coming out of leadership roles in college, whether it's with NSBE or ASCE or whatever fraternity or sorority that they're involved with. Mm-hmm. What we do every day is, it's a high pressure, high stress, fast moving profession doing development consulting, especially in the greatest economy that any of us have ever seen in terms of development in Texas.
Right.
So, think about what guys in the military go through. This is still a walk in the park for them in many regards. At least no one's shooting at them.
Yeah, exactly.
Contractor may want to shoot at them once in a while,
right.
But, all the contractor can do is raise his voice.
Yeah.
So, and then being able to lead, Pat was the president of National Society of Black Engineers in Houston, and mm-hmm. I was thoroughly impressed with his leadership within that organization and the way he ran that meeting. And he's coming in here and running load calcs and doing submittals and specifications for us here at Big Red Dog. But I've no doubt that he's going to come in and be able to run a meeting, whether it's an internal design meeting or an external project meeting or city permitting meeting, when the time comes, simply because of his previous experience. Land development, real estate development, site development type work, you cannot be a wallflower. You have to be confident in what you're doing, or at least confident in communicating what's needed along the way, and then coming back and figuring out what needs to be done to meet your client's objectives. And the ones that interview with us and have that capability and that skill set really tend to stand out, and they really tend to gravitate towards our firm, Big Red Dog, mm-hmm. In a very aggressive manner. They know that this is a place that's going to reward such a skill set, that they're not going to be sitting in a desk waiting their turn, for multiple years or multiple decades before the 3 or 5 or 7 people ahead of them, move on and move up out of the firm. If you can do it, if you show promise, we're going to give you that next rung of responsibility on the ladder, and that's your ladder to climb.
Yeah.
There was a tremendous quote. I think MLK said it. You don't need to see the full staircase to take the first step.
Right.
Just take the first step, and then take the second step, and take the third step, and eventually you'll be at the top of the staircase. But just trust that it's going to be there. And
exactly.
Hopefully that really translates throughout our firm.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. It sounds like you guys are really building a winning system there at Big Red Dog that everybody can be a part of and feel like they're making a difference. And you said something just in a few seconds ago with regard to putting in your time, and we still see that a lot. I mean, that's very prevalent in this design industry, where I hear clients say, "Well, if so and so, in order to be X at this firm, they've got to put in 15 years," and it's like, nowadays with millennials and with the way people are operating, I keep telling folks that they may not even be working there in 15 years. So it's tough. It really is.
The firm may not even be there in 15 years.
That's true too.
I mean, you guys do M&A for a living also.
Absolutely.
We bought 2 firms in 7 years.
Yeah.
If I could find 2 more this year, I'd pull the trigger on those. So,
Well,
it's...
And we hope to help you with that. But
it's a what have you done for me lately society. And in Texas in particular, that middle management layer, those 45 to 55 age group was really hollowed out during the savings and loan crisis in the 80s. And they left the industry never to come back. And then, more recently, the Great Recession of 08, 09, 2010, hollowed out a very significant portion of our industry. So you're left with what I lovingly refer to as the old guard that we compete with day in and day out, who are still wonderful engineers and have been my mentors, and we have a lot of respect for. And then this millennial group coming up, the Gen X is right ahead of them, and that's really the workforce not only of tomorrow, that's the workforce of today.
Yeah. And
if you're, a firm leader that's in denial about that, the industry will pass you by. And I'm a millennial myself. I'm the first generation of the millennials. So, to a large extent, these 100 people that are in our firm love working with a millennial-led firm. They don't have to worry about having the management team get over the stigma of, what is a millennial and why do they expect so much? They expect so much because they've always been given so much, and they're willing to earn it. They're willing to step up and fill those roles and put in the hard time, but they're not going to put in the hard time without seeing a reward for it along the way. And that's a big part of, working on cool projects, getting them out there to the job site, getting them in a project meeting with the client, letting them see what they're working for. And then when the project's over, taking them on a project tour, letting them see what the public thinks about it, having their projects in the paper and in the media all the time, is really, something that not only gives them pride, but they can point to their parents and their brothers and sisters and their classmates and really say, hey, check out this cool thing that I'm working on, just a few years out of school or a decade out of school. Look at, they quoted me at a city council meeting in the newspaper.
Yeah.
And that's very gratifying for them. If you look at our website, every single full-time employee in our company is listed on our website with a bio and a photo. And, that's one of those little things that a company can do to not only give credibility, but some publicity to their team members that they can show off proudly to their friends and family. It costs nothing to add somebody's biography to your website, and it can pay huge dividends.
Yeah.
We've gotten probably half a dozen people said, I chose you because I knew I'd be on your website. And I looked at this other firm I was interviewing with, and they only had the president on their website.
Yeah.
That's a small price to pay for us. And you're a recruiter.
Yeah, no, I know.
Recruiters call our folks all the time.
Yeah.
As the CEO of the company, I say, recruiters get through to me asking me if I want a job. I always say, if a recruiter can get through, let them have a conversation. If they really think that they can offer something better than we're offering, then they have to go and investigate that.
Yeah.
But I'm very confident, what we do around here and how we treat people and how transparent we are and how quickly people can progress within our organization. Layer on top of that the outstanding clients and really the highest profile projects in each of our markets that we're working on, and it's a proposition that is very difficult to beat for our competitors.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask you that, and you kind of mentioned it, and so with just the whole piece with recruiting, and you're right, a lot of firms, old line design firms, they will very rarely ever put anybody below a principal level on the website. They may have 100 people working there, but there may only be like 5 or 10 people on the website itself, which I do understand, and a lot of times a lot of it may be out of fear, that they would lose someone to another firm that may be better than theirs. So, that's a real reality, but it's kind of refreshing just to hear your take on this. And your approach is like, hey, bring it on. If you guys got something better to offer, then, so be it. But I feel like this is the best thing happening right here where this person is. So I think that speaks volumes really to the confidence that you have, and certainly, it makes sense. I mean, you guys have been a hot firm with the Zweig Group, and you've been at our Hot Firm Award conference last year in Boston. I guess you'll be there again. I'm sure you'll be there again this year, and
I hope so.
in Phoenix, Arizona in September. And then a best firm to work for. I mean, there's just a lot of benefits to operating from that vantage point, and so we're really excited to just be aligned with you guys and what you're doing, because I see Big Red Dog as a prototype for the type of engineering and architectural firms that we're going to see in the future, where there are going to be really brash and smart and energetic young engineers and young architects that are going to figure out a way to build a bigger, better mousetrap in the design industry. And it's not so much that you guys are going to eat everybody else's lunch, but I think because you're going to set yourselves apart, that things are just going to just naturally be attracted to you. People are going to want to work with you. People are going to want to work for you. And I think that's huge. And that speaks volumes to what you guys are all about right now, and how you are continuing to progress through all of your locations throughout Texas.
I would think that that's a very true statement. We're not, in 20 years, we're not going to be the only engineering firm around. Far from it. There'll still be plenty. This market is plenty big enough to share with a lot of other firms.
Yeah.
But, we've already seen our influence on competing firms, much larger firms. We've seen entrenched firms in each of our markets change their logos to be bolder and to be red.
Right.
And one notable one in Austin, and we've seen almost every one of our competitors install a blog on their website after seeing the success that we've had with it. If you type civil engineers in Austin into Google right now, Big Red Dog's going to be #1, and we're going to be all over the page.
Right.
And you could say the same thing in each of our markets, whether it's mechanical, electrical, plumbing, or traffic engineering. And we spend a fraction on marketing that a traditional marketing program would suggest, and we get tremendous rewards from the spending that we do. But so much of it is the hard work and the hustle of our team members and our team members performing on behalf of clients. So we are young, we are at times brash, but at the end of the day, we are still very professional and realize that all the success in the world for us doesn't mean anything if our clients aren't successful, if their projects aren't more successful than they would have been had they used another firm. And if our people along the way aren't successful and being rewarded for both of those things happening. So we're tremendously grateful, and I can't say it enough, for both our clients and our team members.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, man, I could go on and on. I mean, I've got questions I want to find out about your social media program and all that, but I
could too. We'll do it in episode 3.
we will. We absolutely will. You'll probably be the first person that we have back 3 times, so that goes without saying. And maybe we'll just start something with this, and this could be a way as part of your plan to expand Big Red Dog, because I'm assuming, and we've never really spoken about this, that you have some plans to expand outside of the great state of Texas. So at some point in time, this will certainly make sense to have a bigger conversation about what you're going to do and where you're going to go, because this type of information is really helpful for people, whether it's clients or, like I said, potential people that would work at Big Red Dog and find a home there. So that's exciting. That's really
Great.
exciting. Yeah. So thank you so much. And Will, I really, really appreciate you taking the time to come out and be with us once again. And I'm just going to close out now. So this was perfect. Folks, as a reminder, all Zweig Group media programs like this one are available free for download on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and YouTube, just to name a few places. Also, we'd like to thank you for watching this video format or listening to the podcast by offering you a free copy of the Zweig letter. Just visit info.zweiggroup.com/free TZL. I know it's a mouthful. We will put the link in the show notes, and we'll also put it at the bottom of the screen so that you get that. And so we really appreciate that. And if you're really in a giving mood, feel free to share this link with a friend. It's kind of like spreading the love and the knowledge all wrapped up in one. I'm Randy Wilburn, and you've been listening to Zweig Group Media, part of Zweig Group. We exist to make you more successful. Bye for now. Thanks so much, Will. We really appreciate you, man.
Yeah, I love doing this, Randy. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. Not a problem. We'll talk soon.
All right.
Take
Have
care.
a great afternoon.
You too. Bye-bye.